This is Healing at Soul Level with your host, Shawna Williams. Shawna is here to provide various forms of healing that are non-invasive, that promote relaxation and aid the body in naturally healing itself by using ancient healing techniques that have been around for centuries. So please welcome the host of Healing at Soul Level, Shawna Williams.
Good morning. Welcome to Healing at Soul Level. I'm your host, Shawna Williams, and we're broadcasting live from BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio. Okay, first off, I wanted to say thank you for tuning in to my very first show. I hope there's many more to come because I'm really excited and I'm really nervous at the same time. But I want you to explore the world of spiritual healing with me. And if you'd like to ask questions or comment on today's show, give me a call. We're live right now. You can call at 866-451-1451. That's 866-451-1451. Because I want to hear from you. You know, all of my listeners, I want to hear from you today. So more and more people are looking for natural ways to heal themselves. And luckily, there are many different modalities out there. There's natural remedies for treating a variety of ailments and relaxing and, promoting, relaxing. Because when the body is relaxed, that's how you heal yourself. And that's why you feel so much better after you have a good night's sleep or you have a good relaxing, calming activity like Tai Chi or yoga. And some people use essential oils to help promote healing as well and relaxation. So one of those modalities that we're going to talk about is Reiki. It promotes healing and wellness holistically. That is, it works with the symptoms as well as the root cause of imbalances. Reiki is a newly rediscovered spiritual practice that actually dates back thousands of years. Dr. Mikao Usui is the founder of Reiki. He prayed and meditated for 21 days, asking for a way to heal people outside of conventional medication as well. On the 21st day of his meditation, he saw a bright light in the sky, and it was racing towards him. It hit him smack in the middle of his forehead and knocked him out. When he awoke, he gathered his things and he started his journey home. But on his way home, he stubbed his toe on a rock and it began to bleed. So instinctively, of course, he put his hands on his toe and the bleeding stopped and the pain disappeared. So he realized at that time that he had the gift to help people heal. Think about whenever you're a little child and you skinned your knee or you hurt your elbow or something and your mama kissed your boo-boo. That helped you feel better. And that's because that was basically a form of Reiki. It's the instincts that you already have. But Reiki is, it's when you're tuned into the energy more strongly than just giving yourself a kiss on the boo-boo. When you're tuned into this energy, then you can heal people at distance and you can heal people, people's past, and you can heal an event that's coming in the future. I actually don't feel quite as nervous as I did at the beginning because I sent Reiki to myself to this spot and to this time to help keep me calm so that my words could flow and they could make sense and they wouldn't be all garbled because words come to me so quickly in my head that I can't always get it out of my mouth correctly. We also have, so the word Reiki, it's a combination of two Japanese words. Rei meaning universal life and Qi meaning energy. Together, it's called universal energy. Reiki would be considered a spiritual practice, but there's no religious connection to it at all. So it doesn't matter whether you're Christian, Muslim, Hindu. You can actually be atheist and still come and get a Reiki session, and it will work for you because energy is energy. It's out there, whether you believe in it or not. I personally have used Reiki on children, adults, animals, plants, objects, and as I told you earlier, events and situations. When Reiki is used for animals or humans, it's kind of like the similar effect. It reduces stress, anxiety, pain, even grief. and it promotes deep relaxation. I can't tell you how many times I've had somebody on my table snoring because they got so relaxed. But, it doesn't bother me because as long as they're healing, I'm happy. We do have some callers on the line, and I have a caller named Valarie. I worked with her. We're friends, and she was one of the first people that I was giving Reiki to. I was giving Reiki to her in person, but one day she couldn't make it, so we decided to do a distant Reiki session on her, and I'd like for her to tell you how that felt for her. Reiki, sorry, Valarie, are you on the line?
I'm here.
Okay, go ahead and tell your story.
Well, this was like the second time I'd had Reiki. This was the first time I had the distant one. So I was a little skeptical. So Shawna had scheduled, she told me to go home and relax, shut out all the noise, and just lay down. So Shawna didn't know at that time that I had a salon appointment scheduled to have my hair braided. So because I was so skeptical, I said, something, if this is going to work, it's going to work no matter where I am. So I went ahead and made my appointment. I was sitting there thinking it'd been about an hour, and Shawna called me 5 minutes till the time that she would get started. So I said, okay, I'm ready. She didn't know I was in the chair at the salon at this time. She thought I was laying at home. So, the lady's braiding my hair, and I started feeling tingling in my feet. I said, so I let it go. I said, maybe because I'm sitting in this chair, I had a real sore spot on one of my ball of my feet, and it's like, it's so weird to explain it, but it started feeling better. It's like someone was massaging it, so it kind of made me jump a little bit. So I ignored that at that point too. So I guess she must have been working on my neck area from wherever she was, because I could feel it, and it made me jump a little. So I had to tell the ladies, excuse me for a minute, I had to go and get in an area to where I could relax and let her finish, because I was a believer at that point. I just really could not believe this was happening, because I started feeling better and better as I sat in that chair. They had to wait about 20 minutes or so on me
Okay.
till that finished.
You did not tell me they had to wait 20 minutes to finish doing your hair.
Well, I didn't know how much, I said, okay, I can't be sitting in that chair and, making sounds and relaxing, and these ladies probably think I was crazy. So I had to excuse myself for a minute and get back to it. They asked me if I was okay. I said, yeah, I am now. But that was my experience with the distant Reiki. And I didn't tell Shawna at the time that this happened. I think I told her maybe weeks later. I had to confess. I said, Shawna, I wasn't at home when you did this, So it was really something.
Yeah, and that's one reason why I wanted her to be at home. Where she was at was fine, but I just wanted to make sure you weren't driving, because the energy can be overwhelming. Mm-hmm.
Well, after the first time you had done it, but it wasn't distant, then I knew I wasn't going to be driving when it happened. So.
Okay, and so your first, what about your first session? How was that like? The in-person session.
That was different too, because what I did was I wanted to close my eyes. I didn't want to see, because if it's really energy and I could really feel it, then I would know exactly where she is as it's happening. I could tell she was at my feet area. I could tell when she was at the top part, because I could feel, it's like something coming out. I don't know. It was just a relief from things coming out of my body. So I opened my eyes and looked, and when I felt a funny feeling in my chest area, she was standing right there. I was like, oh, my gosh. It was overwhelming. Also, just one more thing. I was sitting in my office one day, and Shawna, she could see I was kind of stressed and tense. She came behind me. She said, just, I'm not going to touch you. Just let me do this for a minute. She put her hands like over my shoulder, back area, and it jolted me a little bit. I started crying. It was an overwhelming feeling.
We were just talking to one of my clients. Her name was Val, and she was explaining how Reiki felt to her. Whenever I do Reiki on a person, they can have all kinds of different feelings. They can, I've had people explain their feeling as being little pricklies or heat. They feel heat sensation. Many people at the very end definitely just say that they're very relaxed. They feel really good. And usually a day or two after, they just are happy. Like life just seems new. It makes them feel more excited. They're just happier with life. Everything feels great. They feel renewed. Sometimes someone will come to me and they'll come and ask for an event or a situation that needs healing. And they can write their intention on a piece of paper, and I can apply Reiki to that intention daily or weekly. Because sometimes my son will text me from school if he's nervous about a test or a speech he has to do, and I'll send him Reiki to help him calm down, which helps him to focus on the task that's at hand. And yes, I did say send Reiki to him at school because, like the last caller, Reiki can be done at a distance. It can transcend time, it can transcend distance, it can even go into the past or into the future. So when I do send Reiki into the past for healing, it doesn't change your situation. It just helps you be able to deal with what happened in the past. I believe I have another caller that can explain they'd like to share some of their experience with Reiki. We have Debra on the line.
Hi, Shawna.
Hey.
How are you?
Explain. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
Good. So go ahead and tell me about your story with Reiki.
Okay, you had you kept wanting for me to come over, and I didn't believe in that. I didn't know what it was. I didn't do anything, so I finally came over, right?
Right.
And you had some music on, and I was laying back, and you touched me through my clothes, on top of my. And I didn't expect anything, but I was extremely relaxed. I was so relaxing. And then at one point, I don't know if I was drifting off or what, because you had me in a incline on a chair. I was inclined.
Yes, it was
and a recliner, something like that.
Yeah.
And as I was drifting off, it was really weird. I started seeing faces, gorgeous faces, beautiful women, beautiful men.
I do remember you telling me that. Mm-hmm.
Oh, and as I got deeper into, I'm not even sure where I was, but I was aware of everything.
Mm-hmm.
You touched my stomach, and it exploded. My eyes are still closed. I'm still somewhere where I don't even know where I was at, but I'm still aware. But it felt like fireworks. I saw light. I saw fire, just like a whoosh from my stomach. And as that was going on, I got excited. I was like, oh, my God. Pictures start coming more faster and faster. It was like Egyptians with the pretty eyes, a man with a hat on. I'm getting excited every time I think about this. Just beautiful.
So you were having visions. Yeah, you were having visions. I do remember when I put my hands on your stomach that I felt a big disturbance there. And then the energy just started flowing out of my hands even stronger. Like you were just absorbing the energy, because I don't give the energy to you. You absorb it. And so the energy, I'm sorry, the energy was flowing through you, and I could feel, that there was a disturbance in that area. So that must have been what was going on. Right?
It was, I had no idea. I knew afterwards, after I started thinking about it, I guess what you did unblocked me in a way that I could be my authentic self. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes perfect sense. That was your solar plexus chakra, which is just behind your belly button or just above your belly button, below your diaphragm. And many people carry their emotions in that area. So what I did was I helped you to release any emotions that you had there that were blocking you in that area. And for you, they just shot out like a cannon.
Well, I am definitely a believer, and as you explain things to me, it makes sense. Because we're all energy. We absorb so much.
Exactly. And we hold on to a lot too. Some things that are good for us and some that are not.
Exactly.
Well, thank you for calling, Debra.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and thanks for your story. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Oh, bye. Okay, so we have also plants. Plants. I love it when I give Reiki to my plants within my garden because they grow so beautiful and they just seem healthier. They almost seem artificial because they grow so well. And they resist pests better, but not completely, but they just resist them better because I did an experiment. I decided to do Reiki on some plants in my garden. And then on the other side, I didn't do Reiki on those plants. I gave them the same sunlight, the same water, the same nutritions, but the plants that I did Reiki on grew bigger, like double the size of the ones that I didn't give Reiki to. And yeah, that came out really well. So when I had that harvest, it was a great harvest. We were eating green beans for days. And speaking of that, that means whenever we ate the vegetables, they were Reiki infused nutrition. So that's a good thing to have as Reiki from within as well. And you can also use it in your meals. So I might have a plate put in front of me. Not only do I say my grace before I eat the food, then I may give it Reiki as well. So then I'm eating Reiki as well. The way Reiki works is universal healing energy is channeled through me and it exits out of my hands. However, I never give Reiki to anyone. It's absorbed by the person or the pet or the plant. This way I can never give you too much energy. Your body will simply stop absorbing when it's had enough. And sometimes you stop absorbing in one area but need more energy in another area. So that's why I change hand positions periodically and leave them in that position until I feel the energy stop flowing. So I usually start up at your crown. Well, first I scan the body to see if there's anything that stands out. And so when something stands out, I will start in that area. If that doesn't happen, then I just start at the crown and I'll go from the crown and the crown is at the top of your head, I'm sorry. And I will start the energy there and I will just move around to each one of your chakras and to other smaller chakras within your body, maybe your elbow or your wrist or any place that you've explained that you have pain or that you need healing. At the end, though, we have a little session and we talk about anything that may have arisen during the session, any questions you have. I can tell you exactly where you absorb the energy, where you may be having problems. I can feel whether or not you are being authentic or not with yourself, meaning whether or not you let people walk all over you or whether you speak your mind. I can tell you if you're holding emotions within your stomach area. When people say I have a gut feeling, that's exactly the same area that you have these emotions and these feelings. And some people have explained to me that they actually have had feelings or heard voices, like as if they've had someone from a past life, or they have heard that somebody might be in the room with them, because I do ask for angels to come and join me in these sessions. I have a caller. Her name is Jeniece. And she has a story kind of like that. Jeniece, are you there?
I am.
Hey,
hello,
Jeniece, how are you? I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. My experience with Reiki, going into it, I was unsure, what to expect. But once we got into our session, I was very, very relaxed. And during the session, I was so relaxed that I actually, heard, maybe an angel or someone from maybe my past life. And I'm one of those people who, kind of hold on to things and have a hard time letting go. And whenever this happened to me, I experienced it, and the individual told me their name, and their name was Michael, and he told me that I really need to let it go. And I struggled with that during my session. And I was like, no, I can't let it go, and then he's like, no, you need to let it go. This is the past. And, it kind of went back and forth, and it was like, let it go. So once I was able to, actually listen to what I like to say, someone from my past life that really deeply, truly cared for me and let it go, I was able to let go of a lot of things that I had been harboring. So,
wow. That's pretty cool. I do remember giving you the session and your hand kept coming out like as if somebody was pulling you.
Yes. Yes, so. I did experience that, like they were pulling me. And at that time was also that time for me to let go, and my hand was like releasing, actually a release of the bad and the negativity per se. It was releasing that energy.
Wow, that is so cool. I'm glad that helped you, because that's, it's just wonderful to me whenever somebody can feel things, and, because some people don't feel anything whenever they have the session, but afterwards they feel better. But to feel something during the session, it's pretty cool.
Yes, and I felt better for a long time, because I know, at the beginning of the session you asked if something's bothering you, what is really, bothering you. And, a lot of my problems are, like health is, in my midsection. And I'm really happy to say after my, Reiki session, I haven't had any of those issues.
Oh, so okay. That's wonderful.
Really helped. Yes.
Wow, that is wonderful.
Yeah, it's truly amazing, because I'm like your previous caller. I didn't know what to expect. I'm like, okay, we'll see. And, I was really, really impressed and shocked at, that the good energy and the release of the negative energy, and just like how much of a positive experience you experience from it. So it was, truly a blessing.
Yeah, Reiki is real. Like I said, you can come in and not even believe anything, but it still works. It definitely works.
Yes.
Yep. So thank you for calling and sharing.
Okay, you're welcome.
You have a great day.
You too.
Okay, thanks. Bye. Okay. Whenever I do Reiki for somebody, sometimes they cannot be here. So like if I have a aunt who lives in Houston, and she has back pain. And so she'd never even heard of Reiki. And I told her, I said, well, let me give it a try. I can do a distance Reiki. What I'll do is I have this little Cabbage Patch Kid that I got when I was a little kid. And yeah, now I'm dating myself, but that's okay. And I use it as my surrogate, because then that way, I can put my hands on the head or the feet or wherever I need to do it. So for her, I would do the Reiki on her back, in her lower back. And I did it I would do it, once every probably about every 2 months, 2 to 3 months. But after the very first session with her, I called her the next day, and she told me that her back didn't hurt anymore. She said it had been hurting for years, but it was done now. And the next month when I called her, she said, Shawna, she said, I don't even know where my back brace is anymore. She said, and that cane is missing. She said, I don't need it. So it's helped heal her, and I'm so happy that I could help my aunt over in Houston. So it's just wonderful. It's a great thing. I have a guest who's called in. His name is Curtis. He's someone who's very dear to me. Curtis, you on the line?
I am.
It's my husband. Hey, baby, go ahead.
Good morning, sweetie. Well, thank you for having me on your show. First time caller.
First time caller. I hope you call again.
Right. Hey. Well, my story is that being your husband, I know that Reiki found you. You didn't go looking for Reiki. And for some reason, you always had that ability for people to gravitate to you, to open up and tell you some of their most deepest thoughts, even though they're total strangers. And that always, was interesting to me.
Me too.
So
I was always hoping that they wouldn't tell me, something like they robbed a bank, because I didn't want to know that.
Right. Of course you didn't. Or, some of the other things, that really, as people would say, it's too much information, But at the same time, it was something I realized that was really pointing you towards what you're doing now. And what you are doing now is really helping people. And the reason why I can say that, because, yes, I was your biggest skeptic. Oh, my God. Even though I know when you brought this to me, I was supportive, but I was thinking to myself, I don't know anything about this, and most of us who come from a Christian background, can always seem a little bit, let's just say, skeptical of the ability of another human being to be able to literally heal another human being. But you were fortunate enough to have a husband who had several, sports injuries throughout my life. One was a pole vaulting injury, where I actually, if you're not familiar with pole vaulting, it's the guy that holds the real long pole and you bend it and it shoots you up over a bar, and you're supposed to land on this mat. Well, of course, that's the ideal way you do it. But sometimes you can snap the poles, and sometimes, in my case, you can actually miss the pad, which I did, and end up basically fracturing the coccyx bone, which is really the tip of your spine, all the way down into your bottom. In fact, I'll try to be, correct with what I say instead of saying "but" or the other word.
Okay.
Anyway, it was very painful. I dealt with that for a long time, like most people. I was young. I was told, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's going to heal by itself. You're young." Wow. The fact that I was getting that type of advice, from medical professionals back in the day. But, I could see most people thought, "Hey, you're young. You're an athlete, blah, blah, blah." And it really didn't cause too much of a problem until a lot of young guys, I like to still stay in shape. So I'd go play basketball with my brothers, and without even thinking about it, may have got pushed and fell on my butt, and didn't realize the next morning the reason why I was so stiff and hurting was because of that injury. And so, to make a long story short, I kind of cut out basketball and decided that it was too risky for me, because a lot of times I would end up falling on my butt in that particular sport. And then also, I ended up becoming a bone marrow donor for one of my brothers who had contracted leukemia. And if you're not familiar with how that is done, they basically take these real long needles and syringes and shoot you in the back of your back, in the pelvis area, again, in your buttocks, right in between your spinal cord.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, that procedure, along with the sports injury, really screwed my back up. Even though most people told me that it would be okay, you'll be able to live, they were right. But what it did for me, it actually caused me to have puncture areas, because they actually stuck me 4 times instead of 2 trying to get to the bone marrow. I have puncture areas that you could actually feel for many years, like little knots in my back. And those
I
things
do remember
would flare
that.
up with, right? And those things would flare up with inflammation, And, when it came time to deal with all the pain I was having in my back, what was I doing, honey? I was going
You were going to a chiropractor and taking medicine and Advil,
all
way
that,
too much Advil.
Yeah. So I told my wife to start, practice on me with this Reiki, regardless of how I feel about it. Because one thing the doctor told me, I had to get off Advil. I needed to stop taking Advil, on a daily basis. It wasn't good for me, for pain. And so that in itself was a blessing because we had a family member who actually thought they could cure themselves with Tylenol, and it's a true story. She ended up killing herself. Trying to treat herself with over the counter. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, her organs shut down.
That was always in the back of my mind as I, started going through life. I didn't want to be dependent on even over-the-counter medication because even too much of that can kill you. Mm-hmm. So my wife did her first Reiki session on me, and to be totally honest with you, because I wasn't open to it, and I'm being honest, when I finally did try to open up, and I always remember, all I felt was a slight tingling at the top of my head. None of the pain or anything else where it really needed to go really came out the first time. Mm-hmm. But that's how I think it is with a lot of people, especially those who, like me, who've been running away from anything pretty much spiritual. When they say, I ain't afraid of no ghosts, well, I am, so don't come around me. I don't want to see any spirits, because, my story, my mom also had that spiritual connection, and I didn't understand it, so I didn't like it. So I tried to shun myself away from it, and just try to stay in my lane. But now I understand there's many lanes, and those lanes need to be explored and open because, yes, my wife gave me a session that awakened me to how powerful Reiki is. And I never forget that during this session, I had to calm myself because when I opened myself up, I started feeling the actual healing. I started feeling multiple hands, like there were multiple people touching me. And I had to calm myself mentally down to not jump off the table because I know this is my wife. I know she would never hurt me. So just roll with it.
Oh, honey, you were so funny.
Okay. Like I said, I think I was at the almost jumping off the table.
Yeah. Go back and talk about that just a little bit more. Why did you almost jump off the table?
Because for the first time when I really told myself to let go, to feel what was really happening, that I started feeling I felt as if multiple hands were on me. I literally, like I said, I knew you were the only person in the room, but it didn't feel like you were the only person touching me. So, I'm like, do I have to jump off this table and see what the heck is going on? But I rolled with it, like I said. The part who now had said, just what I said, it's my wife. She wouldn't let anything happen to me, so just go with it. And as you know, after that, I told you that experience, and since then, to really go back to what people really want to hear, I believe, besides my comedy routine, is that when I hurt now in my back, I have no longer been taking any over-the-counter, painkillers or, Tylenol or Advil. I know it's because of the Reiki. It has to be. There's no other explanation for it. I'm a very practical kind of guy. If you watch the X-Files, I'm not Fox Mulder. I'm Scully. So, it had to be something more of a higher plane that has been making my life better. Because I didn't want to take Advil all the time, to be honest with you. And so, all I can tell your listeners is that, take it from a former jock who had a lot of sports, injuries out here. And as a husband doing stuff around the house, it became painful in my latter years. And now my wife would tell you, I mow the grass. I work on furniture. I jog to the store from the parking lot. In other words, I have no problem. And exercising, she knows too. She tries to get me to do yoga and all those kind of things, So all that is for the better. Okay, all that's for the better because now I don't have any fear of the pain coming back. And if it does, again, I just tell her, and I know for a fact I have the luxury, of course, of, being married to you, so I get to sleep with you. So, hey, I'm sorry, all you listeners out there, but yes, I know I get Reiki all the time when I need it because she can just give it to me laying in bed. So, but it's a blessing. And I hope my story, enlightens some of your listeners out here, and will actually give them an opportunity to continue to tune into your show and hear many more people that you've worked with and ask questions and be interested in what it's all about, because that's what I had to do. And now I know about Reiki and Akashic Records, and I know about crystals. Hey, it's a big, wide world out there, people. So
sure is.
I gotta go to work, and what I do on my side of the family. And I love you. You're doing a great job, and appreciate the time letting me call in.
Thanks, babe. Thank you for calling in. Love you too.
All right, big kiss.
Okay.
Wow.
So now you've met my husband. That's the goofy man that I've married, and I love him very much, but he is very supportive, and what he said is true. He was not the type of person to want to have anything to do with any of this, as lots of people call it woo-woo, but he's definitely a believer now. He does not believe in it being woo-woo. He knows that it's real, and I only give Reiki to you if you ask me to. I have to have permission. I'm not going to, even if I see you in pain, I cannot just give you Reiki without your consent, of some type of consent. If you're unconscious and your family wants me to give you Reiki, that's different, but I can find another way to get consent from you. But my husband, he gave me consent to give him Reiki at any time. He said, don't even tell me if I need it, just give it to me. And so he would have these drinks at night, and I don't know what he was doing. I don't know if he was fighting somebody, or I don't know what he's doing, but he was moving all around in the bed, making noises, punching in the air. And so I would just put my hand, one hand on the top of his head, and the other one on his hip or his back, depending on how he was sleeping. And he would instantly calm down. And he would lay there, he'd get quiet, and then he'd start snoring. And I knew that he was all good. He wouldn't even remember the dream when he woke up. So I've used clients, or should I say I've had clients that use Reiki for many situations. So that's one of them. Sometimes I've had people who don't sleep at night. I had a lady who hadn't slept she said in years she hadn't slept a full 8 hours at night. She would always wake up at 2 or 3, or she wouldn't get to sleep till midnight or 1 a.m. She had one session with me, and she told me that she's been sleeping every night now. She can go to sleep at 10 o'clock and not wake up till 6 in the morning. And she was very happy about that. So it can be used for sleep, having sleep problems. It can be used for stress. It can help calm you down. Like, as I said earlier in the show, it helped me to calm down before this show. I feel like I'm talking more freely now because I was really nervous, since I don't do this much talking ever. It helped me with my anxiety. It helps with pain management, as my husband just said, and grief. Grief is actually the reason that I came to Reiki. I had several family members pass away within 2 years. I believe altogether it was like 5 aunts, uncles, my mother-in-law, and my parents. And so I was looking for a way to deal with the grief, because I just could not figure out how to get this pain out of my body. And that's when I found Reiki. So they say that when you find Reiki, it's because that's when you need it the most. And the practitioner that you find is the one that resonates with you the best as well. So, I would love for it to be me, but there are lots of good practitioners out there. So go to their websites, look at their picture, call them on the phone, talk to them, fill them out. If you resonate with that person, then that's the person that you're supposed to go to at this time to get your healing. it's simple. I mean, sometimes we make life much harder. We've had several callers call in today, and they've told you their experience with Reiki. I mean, it's a wonderful feeling. You can't really explain it. You know, a lot of them stumbled over their words on trying to explain to you what Reiki actually felt like to them, or what Reiki actually meant to them after they had the session. And it's one of those things where you have to experience it. You have to come, you have to check it out, you have to see what it's like, because your experience is probably going to be completely different from anybody else's experience. And that's just the way it works, because everybody's an individual and everybody has different feelings and different reactions to the Reiki energy. The one thing that is the same for everybody is you do get your healing from Reiki. You can check it out, you know, see what it's like. Sometimes go to my website, actually. My website is indigo-qi.com. That's indigo-qi.com. To find out more information about this episode or to book services with me, you can also go to the website at indigo-qi.com and go to the service section. There they have explanations of all the services that I offer. I do add services from time to time, and so you will see that on there when I have new services. And you can see that I do things other than Reiki. I also read Akashic Records. We will have a show on that. That's like the book of life, tells you all about who you are at soul level. And it's just a good thing to do. You know, pique your curiosity, find out what's going on in your life, you know, heal that trauma that you feel deep down inside of you. Or just give me a call. We can even chat. Chatting is free. I don't mind talking to you at all. I actually love talking to people, and I actually do better talking with you than doing a complete show like this. But I think I did okay this time, so I'm happy with that, and I'm hoping that you're happy and I gave you enough information to make you want to tune into the next show. Next week's show will be Fall Smith. She works at Rainbow. She works at Power of the Rainbow, and she's going to talk about signs from spirit, and she is wonderful. So you have to tune in next week to hear her. I can't wait for you to hear her. She's so interesting. I just sit here and listen to her, and I'm just in awe. It's great. So like I said before, for more information on this episode or to book services with me, just visit my website at indigo-qi.com. And I just want to thank you all for tuning in, and I will see you, or actually I will be talking to you next week. Don't forget to call me. You've been listening to Healing at Soul Level, and I'm your host, Shawna Williams. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll talk to you next week.
This has been Healing at Soul Level with host Shawna Williams. Listen each week as Shawna will help you discover the different healing modalities and how to use them in your everyday life, right here on Shawna Williams' Healing at Soul Level.